Ladies and gentlemen, it's Children's Day today and our children are breathing toxic as we speak. This is exactly why I'm wearing a mask. This is exactly why I'm outside the studios today, a second straight day that we're outside to voice your concerns, to ask you how you feel about this entire air pollution status every year that we spend, because this is an every year phenomena now. This is unfortunately happening every year, yet authorities know about it and do nothing. They play the blame game, as was seen today. Delhi's Environment Minister Gopal Rai today said that we are 3 in the national capital. They also said that it is the central government that needs to take this step forward, and Delhiites are not alone responsible for the kind of air pollution status that we are seeing in the national capital. He also blamed it on the districts of NCR. On the show, she is our makeup artist, Nargis. Nargis, I'd request you to come here. Nargis, ladies and gentlemen, is somebody who suffers from sinus, and every year she suffers from breathing problems this time around. Let me quickly ask her what she is going through. Viewers को ये बताइए सबसे पहले कि आपको क्या-क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही है इस एयर पोल्यूशन की वजह से?
मुझे प्रॉब्लम होती है, सांस लेने में बहुत ज़्यादा दिक्कत होती है, मेरा दम घुटता है और चेस्ट में बहुत ज़्यादा पेन होता है, और शाम होते होते तो मेरा एकदम चेस्ट ब्लॉक हो जाता है, जिससे मुझे नेबुलाइजर लगाना पड़ता है। इससे होगी नहीं होगी मुझे, तो मुझे नेबुलाइजर वगैरह स्ट्रांगली लेने पड़ते हैं सुबह और शाम दोनों टाइम।
तो डॉक्टर्स से बात होती है नरगिस, डॉक्टर्स क्या बोलते हैं कि एयर पोल्यूशन का कितना कंट्रीब्यूशन है इसमें?
ये बोलते हैं कि इस मौसम में तुम्हें हर साल रहेगी और जितना हो सके कि मास्क पहन के रखो। ये मेरे लिए प्रॉब्लम ज़्यादा है सांस की, और इसमें मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाती है।
तो चूंकि नरगिस आप रोज घर से बाहर निकलती हैं, एयर पोल्यूशन में आती हैं, हम सबका काम है, ऑफिस है, हम सब घर से बाहर निकलते हैं। डॉक्टर्स तो ये एडवाइस करते हैं कि हम घर पे रहें ऐसी स्थिति में, ऐसी सिचुएशन में।
करते तो मुझे आता है सडनली बहुत ज़्यादा पेन होता है, तो मुझे मेडिसिन लेनी ही पड़ती है, जो मुझे रात में सोते टाइम एक मेडिसिन दी हुई है डॉक्टर ने एलर्जी की, वो मुझे लेनी पड़ती है। सुबह में मुझे एंटीबायोटिक लेनी पड़ती है, नेबुलाइजर लगा के तो मैं आती हूँ, फिर रात में मुझे लेना पड़ता है।
ठीक है, और ये कितने दिन चलता है नरगिस? जेंटलमैन, Nargis is of course one of the many people who suffer such breathing issues in this entire season, yet authorities do nothing about it, and they're still waiting for natural weather conditions to improve instead of actually doing something on ground. And is also responsible for implementing certain measures to curb this air pollution. But what's the latest that you're picking up in Delhi as far as the air pollution status is concerned?
So Shreya, as far as the air pollution status is concerned in the capital city, since Landi very severe category, so far the GRAP 3 has not been enforced from the side of the authorities. Yesterday as well a word came out from the side of the CAQM, which is the quality of air quality management. They are saying in the public domain that they are closely monitoring the situation, but if need be, then they are going to impose the GRAP 3, which means more restrictions are going to be imposed across the city, which means some of the activity they are also going to be restricted in that particular manner. Apart from it, earlier today a meeting was held and they also participated in the same. They are going through each and every steps which have been taken so far. They have also discussed as to what is the way forward and what are the steps which needs to be taken. Although at the same time the word came in from the side of the IMD as well that there are a couple of factors which are responsible for the weather condition. Informed that the IMD has have talked about to the government that starting from tomorrow some improvement may be seen across the city, but till that time the situation appears to be very much grim. On the other side, the principal opposition, which is the Bharatiya Janata Party, they have also asked the Aam Aadmi Party led lies to the municipal authorities as well. And there are a couple of basic steps which have already been taken, but remember, Shreya, just few days back a letter was written in from the side of the Delhi LG V.K. Saxena addressing to Delhi Chief Minister Atishi, wherein he has informed that there are many the government, and that is the point where all the accountability should be done and all the unified programs should be carried out. There is also debate which usually takes place about what is the contribution or what is the percentage of the contribution as far as the stubble burning is concerned. But there are a couple of the geographical condition. These are all the factors which are usually responsible for the pollution here in the capital city. We are also joined by some of the women. Let's try
Yes,
to take
Nikhil.
a word from them. Ma'am, आप सब लोग यहाँ पे हैं, एक आपसे चर्चा करना चाहेंगे हम। आप लोग काउंसिल, एक और चीज़ की भी चर्चा आप लोगों ने टीवी पे देखी होगी, पोल्यूशन की बहुत ज़्यादा चर्चा हो रही है। बीजेपी से होने के नाते से पहले आप देश की राजधानी दिल्ली के रेसिडेंट भी हैं, क्या फील करती हैं पोल्यूशन को लेकर?
देखो, अभी ये जो केजरीवाल सरकार है आम आदमी पार्टी की, ज़्यादा और ज़्यादा हो रहा है और दिल्ली की जनता को सांस लेने में दिक्कत हो रही, बहुत सारी परेशानियां आ रही, खासकर बच्चों को, बुजुर्गों को। तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि इन्होंने कुछ किया।
आप कह रहे हैं आम आदमी पार्टी ने कुछ नहीं किया है, आप सभी लोग आप भारतीय जनता पार्टी से, क्या और बेहतर किया जा सकता है? क्योंकि
तब तक सुधार का तो कोई गुंजाइश है ही नहीं। सुधार के बारे में तो कहेंगे क्या, ठीक है ना। हाँ, मुझे लगता है बीजेपी सरकार यदि आ जाएगी ना, तो ये सोच लो 80%।
कैसे?
क्योंकि देखो एक बात बताओ, एकदम हम, क्योंकि देखो विधायक सारे उनके और आधे से ज्यादा शायद पार्षद भी उन्हीं के हैं,
सत्ता में है।
बिल्कुल सत्ता में देखो वो हैं।
अच्छा, आप सब लोग एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से भी हैं, आप काउंसलर्स भी हैं, महिला भी हैं, यानी कि आप सबका एक परिवार भी होगा। आपको लगता है ये देश की राजधानी की हालात होनी चाहिए, मतलब
और जिस हिसाब से राजधानी होना चाहिए, यहाँ पर ऐसी कोई
Nikhil, I'm going to come back to you. I also have guests joining me on the show. Nikhil, thank you very much for getting us those voices and the latest situation in the national capital. Of course, we'll keep coming back to you. Namaskar to both of you. Vimlendu Jha, let me begin with you. You heard those voices. The blame game continues as every year. The unfortunate part is that even though this time around, we've seen days that have seen AQI of Delhi-NCR at 350, the residents are so used to such toxic air that they...
Poor air. Last 2 days, we've had severe air quality, actually 470 in more than half of the air stations or air quality monitors that Delhi has. The air quality index has been over 450, which is not just severe, it's severe plus. And, imagine there's nothing other than these meetings, and also is responsible for air quality management, or at least take stringent action. And unfortunately, this morning and yesterday also, when they were asked with respect to the severe air quality index and the steps in terms of grade 3 of GRAP that should be enabled, they said, oh, well, this is an episodic source that's coming. It's actually coming from northwestern direction, which means that whatever left of the farm fires, that toxic haze, the toxic air is actually engulfed entire Delhi. But rightly, as you put forth, that it's in the month of October, November, there will be political blame games. Is not an anti-pollution measure at all. Neither are they looking at solving the problem long term or medium term, nor are they concerned about the health of the citizens of our of Delhi-NCR. And as the lady said, that there are breathing issues. There are the children, air quality index reaches 300, and here we are at 470, and we haven't heard a word from the health minister of this country or environment minister of this country, or we have only seen this theatrics of meeting by the local Delhi government. So both the governments, every political party here is
so be questioning ourselves at this time whether we ask political parties when they come to woo us for their votes, what's their stand on environmental issues. But let me get in Dr. Vikas Gupta on this. Dr. Gupta, you heard one of my colleagues, she's suffering from sinus. It gets worse during this season. And there are several people like consulting doctors as to what we should do and what we should not do. But at the end of the day, it is only impacting our lungs and reducing our lifespan.
Good evening. I am a neurosurgeon, but at the same time, I'm a citizen. Sinus, they have respiratory problems, they have allergies and other things, including skin allergies, eye allergies. They are immediate. They occur today, they may get settled down a week or 10 days or maybe 2 months. But the effect of this pollution is on the lungs. It may lead to cancer, vulnerable to all kinds of things. For young children, elderly, life has become hell for them. They are in the hospitals, they are in the nebulizers, continuously on the nebulizers, and we are seeing increased number of strokes and heart attacks because of this pollution. It is not as simple as just
Yeah. Dr. Gupta, can I also ask you then, since we're talking about young lives, young lungs being impacted, children are heavily impacted by this kind of an air pollution. Is it then advisable to shut schools at this time? In fact, earlier than what we're seeing.
Being a doctor, I'm a citizen. I am myself hesitant to let my parents or my mother go out, my child go out.
Yes.
But we all have to work. I will do my duty, but it is really dangerous. We can manage short-term effects by inhalers or nebulizers. It is time to shut down. Whatever is feasible, it should be shut down.
Vimlendu Cha, you want to come in on this? Yes.
Yes. So, you know what
Yes.
Mr. Gupta was
Vimlendu
saying
Cha,
that,
you want to come in on this? You know, the fact that this is...
exactly.
Yeah, go
And
ahead,
you know what,
Vimlendu.
Mr. Gupta, you know what he said, and you know right now there's enough a dozen reports that have actually
Yes.
come in last couple of years that talks about overall life expectancy that's going down. So you know now it's not just an environmental issue. It was never just an environmental issue. And the romance for a clean air that you know people like us were talking about, it has direct air. You know there are more and more cases or in ICUs. ICUs run out of beds each year at certain occasions when there's more and more severe pollution. And also, mind you, the numbers that you and I are reading in terms of 420 and 450 or 470, nobody even trusts that number because the independable, which is 450 and 470, imagine in reality what's the quality of air that we actually are breathing. And not just now. By the way, 450 or 416 was the average of Delhi today. But there are certain areas with millions of population and mostly poor neighborhoods, likely putting forth. And it's not just about a mild headache or a nebulizer, therefore, or a small antibiotic. These have long-term mortality and morbidity issues. But my sense of pain and frustration comes from the fact that imagine when you and I are talking about this year after year, not making this the issue number one. Why are we not shutting down construction when the air quality index has already reached 450? Why are we not shutting down schools and subjecting small little children who anyway are getting stunted lung growth? Because, and this is, by the way, in mother's womb, there's a long rope to the government officials and political parties. They should actually reprimand them, punish them. As in, what more offense than the fact that 1.5 million people die in India because of air pollution, and that's pure murder.
Yes.
Apologies.
Yes, absolutely, Vimlendu. Agree with, human-made crisis that we are grappling with every year. Dr. Gupta, I want to understand from you, GRAP 3 is something that the government is saying is not advisable to be implemented right now. But here at Mirror Now, we're also asking whether it is conducive and whether it should now be made in vehicular movement and therefore pollution occurs. But in such steps, how much of, help does that give to us in terms of our health?
See, madam, I have been living in Delhi for the last 40 years. All these GRAP 3 or is very, very dangerous for anybody's health, especially vulnerable, or even you and I. We may not be vulnerable, but we do not need this kind of air. We deserve better air for the taxes we pay. And whatever needs to be shut down, whatever the economic cost may be, should be shut down so that the air could be cleaned. At least family with this kind of air, which is a basic requirement, for living. That is pure air. So I am really very candid about it that whatever can be shut down should be shut down. All non-essential activities should be shut down. Not only
and he was a father. He said that, even if you shut schools, what about the air inside our homes? How will you cure that? How will you prevent our children from getting impacted by that? And you make a very significant point there, which leads me to my next question to you. We keep talking about air purifiers and getting indoor plants.
Air purifiers with the larger and larger capacities, which I don't think they make a meaningful difference because you have a typical Delhiite spends less than 6 to 8 hours at home. So for the majority of 14 or 16 hours, he's outside the home. So it should be done irrespective of who does it. But it is really very, very concerning for the long-term health. We say as stroke or anybody, that don't smoke. But I myself and you and everybody is smoking 20 cigarettes a day. So what is going to happen to organic substances? This is something which is, at least I hope some wiser scientists than me would understand that this is not something in an emergency which is for today. It is going to affect us 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line.
Our authorities, our governments to take concrete steps. You're an environmentalist. I'm sure you've talked with authorities, governments, as regards to, how we can improve this situation. Is it just the political blame game? Does the kind of expenditure that is, required for clean
ground up? Citizens are still not asking those difficult questions of the political representative. Also, what ends up happening very, very conveniently, and that what Mr. Gupta was actually talking about, that citizens tend to find private solution to a public problem. And that is not, or a home worker or a laborer actually work from home. No, it's a very elite understanding of a solution of air pollution that let's actually shut down and let's do work from home, because it's also a question of livelihood. So it's a question of environmental justice. The pollution is a conversation I've seen in last couple of days. Some of the politicians actually talk about it, but we need to understand that people in the government are not supposed to be running campaigns. They are supposed to act. And, we could have excused them for their crime or their neglect and willful dereliction of duty that they have done in year one, which is perhaps say 7 years, setting up something and in this green war room and putting placards and marshals and looking at that as a solution. I do not know whether it's their dishonesty or lack of understanding. And I think it's the first one. It's actual dishonesty in government. Almost 50% of the pollution in Delhi is from vehicles. And very conveniently, what also happens, and this is where I also blame the Supreme Court, conveniently blames the farmers. Indeed, stubble burning is responsible, but 5% for 15 days versus fumes coming out of waste-to-energy plants. The coal thermal power plants and industries operating in the 100-kilometer radius of Delhi, these are our problems. And, right now, imagine it will rain and suddenly you'll actually see multiple tweets coming from our political parties, and especially of the Delhi government, that listen, see this year. And therefore, it's all Ram Bharose environmental governance that India is actually going through right now.
And Vimlendu, what's also unfortunate is how they're defining cleaner. Like I said at the start of the show, over 400 mark versus a 300 and 350. That's what is being defined from our political parties, from our authorities, of implementing some concrete actions that will actually give us the clean air, which is our right to breathe. But thank you very much to both of you, Dr. Vikas Gupta and Vimlendu Jha, for joining us on our special broadcast and getting your perspectives into this show.